$6,000. That's what the receipt showed when I checked my sister's phone. $6,000 for my entire designer wardrobe that had taken me 15 years to build. Collections worth over $80,000. Gone. Sold while I was away on business. I stood in my empty closet, surrounded by bare hangers and vacant shelves. The Chanel dresses, Louboutin heels, Hermes scarves, all vanished. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the pictures on my sister's phone, my precious items listed on consignment sites, sold for pennies on the dollar. My name is Olivia Mitchell. I'm 34 years old and work as a senior marketing executive for a global cosmetics brand. I've spent my entire adult life building my career and my carefully curated wardrobe. Each piece was a milestone, a memory, a celebration of hard work. I never thought my own sister would betray me like this. Growing up, Amanda and I were close despite our 5-year age gap. We shared clothes, secrets, dreams. When our parents died in a car accident 10 years ago, we only had each other. I stepped up, putting my career on hold to make sure she finished college. I supported her financially and emotionally. I was more mother than sister. Last month, I left for a 3-week business trip to Paris and Milan. Important meetings with potential partners, career-defining presentations. I was excited but nervous. Amanda offered to house-sit my apartment. "Don't worry about anything," she said. "Just focus on crushing those meetings." I trusted her completely. The meetings went better than expected. I secured 2 major partnerships. My boss was thrilled. I was on cloud 9 boarding my flight home, dreaming about celebrating in my favorite Valentino dress. But when I unlocked my apartment door, something felt wrong. The air smelled different, too clean, too empty. I walked to my bedroom. The door to my walk-in closet was closed. I remember hesitating before opening it, like some part of me already knew empty. Everything gone except for some basic work clothes and casual wear. I called Amanda immediately, no answer. I texted, nothing. I drove to her apartment, pounding on her door until her roommate let me in. "She's not here," the roommate said. "She left for a weekend trip with Tyler." Tyler, her fiancé of 6 months. The wedding was in 3 weeks. I noticed Amanda's phone on the coffee table. She'd forgotten it in her rush to leave. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The evidence was all there. Messages to consignment stores, photos of my clothes, receipts, $6,000, and messages to Tyler. "Got the money for our honeymoon. Olivia will never know. She has so much stuff she barely wears." My legs gave out. I collapsed onto her couch, clutching her phone, reading the messages over and over. This wasn't just theft, this was betrayal, from the person I trusted most in the world. I left her apartment in a daze. Driving home, I called my best friend, Elena. "She did what?" Eleanor's voice exploded through the car speakers. "That's not just wrong, Liv. That's criminal." "I know," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "I just can't believe she would do this to me. What are you going to do?" I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "I don't know yet." But I was already thinking, already planning. The wedding was in 3 weeks. Amanda had taken something precious from me. Perhaps it was time I took something precious from her. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes and a splitting headache. For a moment, I forgot what happened. Then reality crashed back. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Amanda. A text. "Hey sis, how was your trip? Can't wait to hear all about it." Acting like nothing happened, like she hadn't violated my trust and stolen from me, I didn't respond. Instead, I called my company's legal department. "It's definitely theft," our head counsel said after hearing my story. "You could press charges." "She's my sister," I replied, "and her wedding is in 3 weeks. Family complications don't change the law, Olivia, but I understand your hesitation." I thanked him and hung up. Pressing charges would devastate Amanda. Despite everything, could I really do that to my only family? I needed to confront her first. Hear her explanation. Maybe there was something I was missing. I texted her, "We need to talk, my place, tonight, 7 p.m. Her reply came instantly, "Sure, Everything okay?" I didn't respond. At 7:05, my doorbell rang. Amanda bounced in, all smiles and energy, carrying a bottle of wine. "Congratulations on your trip. Tyler and I were just saying how—" She stopped mid-sentence when she saw my face. "Liv, what's wrong?" I pointed to my bedroom. "Why don't you show me my closet?" Her face paled. "What?" "My closet, Amanda. Show me." She followed me silently to the bedroom. I flung open the closet door, revealing the empty space. "Explain," I said, my voice deadly calm. She started crying immediately. Classic Amanda. Tears had always been her first defense. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "We were short on money for the honeymoon, and you have so many nice things you barely wear, and I thought—" "You thought you'd steal from me?" My voice rose. "Things I worked years to earn?" "I was going to replace them. After we got back from Bali," I laughed bitterly. "With what money? You sold $80,000 worth of designer items for $6,000. How exactly were you planning to replace them?" Her eyes widened. "How did you left your phone at your apartment. I saw everything. The messages to the consignment stores, to Tyler." She collapsed onto my bed, sobbing harder. "I'm sorry, Liv. I made a terrible mistake. Please forgive me. Please don't tell anyone. The wedding is so close." I stared at her, this person I'd raised, protected, loved. Now a stranger. "Get out," I whispered. "Liv, please, get out," I screamed, pointing to the door, "and don't expect me at your wedding." She left, still crying. I locked the door behind her and slid to the floor, shaking with rage and grief. My phone buzzed with a text from Eleanor. How did it go? I called her instead of texting. She admitted everything, used the money for her honeymoon with Tyler. Eleanor cursed. "What are you going to do?" I took a deep breath. "I'm going to get justice." The next day, I called in sick to work. I needed time to think, to plan. Amanda had left dozens of messages, all variations of "I'm sorry" and "please forgive me." I ignored them all. Instead, I visited the consignment stores where she'd sold my clothes. Most items were already gone, sold to eager buyers. A few remained, priced at a fraction of their worth. I bought back what I could, spending nearly $2,000 to reclaim items that had originally cost me 10 times that amount. The manager at the last store recognized me from the photos Amanda had shown. "Your sister said you were cleaning out your closet," she said, looking uncomfortable. "That you were moving abroad." "She lied," I replied flatly. "She stole my clothes while I was on a business trip." The woman's eyes widened. "I'm so sorry. If I'd known—" "It's not your fault," I assured her, "but I would appreciate any information you have about the buyers." She couldn't give me names, but she provided what details she could. Most buyers were local. My clothes were scattered across the city, worn by strangers who had no idea they were purchased with stolen goods. That night, I received a call from Tyler. "Olivia," he began, his voice serious. "Amanda told me what happened. Did she tell you she stole from me, or did she spin some story about borrowing?" He sighed. "She told me everything. The truth. She made a terrible mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to water my plants. This was calculated theft." "I know, and I'm horrified. I had no idea she sold your things for our honeymoon. I thought we were using our savings." I wasn't sure I believed him. "What do you want, Tyler?" "I want to make this right. I've emptied my savings account, $6,000. I'll bring it to you tomorrow." I almost laughed. "My collection was worth $80,000, Tyler." "I know it doesn't cover everything, but it's a start. And Amanda will pay you back the rest over time." "And the wedding?" I asked. He hesitated. "We're still getting married. I love her, Olivia, despite this terrible lapse in judgment. And she loves you. She's devastated that she hurt you." I ended the call without promising anything. $6,000 wouldn't replace my collection, but it was something. And part of me was relieved that Tyler seemed genuinely remorseful. But another part of me wasn't satisfied. Money couldn't restore trust. It couldn't erase the betrayal. 3 days later, Tyler delivered the cash as promised. Amanda wasn't with him. "She's too ashamed to face you," he explained, "but she wanted me to give you this." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter and a wedding invitation. The letter was tear-stained and emotional, full of apologies and promises to make amends. The invitation was embossed with silver foil, announcing the wedding of Amanda Mitchell and Tyler Brooks at the Grand Plaza Hotel. "She still wants you there," Tyler said. "You're her only family." I nodded, not committing either way. After he left, I placed the invitation on my mantel and stared at it for a long time. An idea began to form, a way to make Amanda understand exactly what she'd done to me. I picked up my phone and called Eleanor. "I need your help," I said, "and I need you to keep a secret." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation. I didn't speak to Amanda, though she continued to call and text. I focused on my plan. First, I contacted everyone who'd purchased my clothes from the consignment stores. I explained the situation, offering to buy back the items at a premium. Some refused, but many agreed, sympathetic to my story. Next, I hired a private investigator to gather information about the wedding. Guest list, seating chart, timeline of events. It cost me a small fortune, but it was worth it. Finally, I met with Eleanor and 2 other close friends to finalize the details. "Are you sure about this?" Eleanor asked. "It's pretty extreme." "So was stealing $80,000 worth of clothing from your sister," I replied. The day before the wedding, Amanda made one last attempt to reach me. She came to my apartment, knocking for nearly 20 minutes before leaving a small package at my door. Inside was a framed photo of us as children, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. A note was attached. "I miss my big sister. Please come tomorrow." For a moment, my resolve wavered. But then I remembered the empty closet, the betrayal, the casual way she'd sold my memories for a vacation. I placed the photo face down in a drawer and continued with my preparations. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. I dressed carefully in a simple black dress, one of the few items Amanda had left behind. I styled my hair, applied subtle makeup, and packed a small overnight bag. Eleanor picked me up at 10 a.m. "Last chance to back out," she said as I got into her car. I shook my head. "I'm ready." The Grand Plaza Hotel was decorated with white roses and silver ribbons. Guests milled about in the lobby, dressed in their finest. I spotted several of Amanda's college friends, a few distant relatives, Tyler's family. No one noticed me slip into a service elevator with Eleanor. We rode to the 5th floor, where I'd booked a room directly above the ballroom where the reception would be held. In the room, my other friends were waiting. So were the items I'd spent 2 weeks gathering. Not my original wardrobe, that was largely gone forever, but reasonable facsimiles. Designer dresses, shoes, handbags collected from various sources. About 30 pieces in total, worth approximately $20,000. "Everything's ready," my friend Jess said. "The ceremony starts in an hour." I nodded, feeling surprisingly calm. "Let's get set up." While the wedding ceremony took place in the hotel's garden, we prepared our surprise for the reception. Each item of clothing was carefully arranged, each detail meticulously planned. At 2 p.m., we heard the reception beginning below us. Music, laughter, the clink of glasses. I imagined Amanda in her white dress, radiant and happy, thinking she'd gotten away with what she'd done. I waited until the father-daughter dance would be finishing, until all eyes would be on the bride. Then I gave the signal. Jess opened the windows overlooking the ballroom's glass ceiling. Eleanor and my other friend positioned themselves at the window, and I began to drop the clothes. One by one, designer dresses, blouses, skirts, shoes rained down onto the glass ceiling of the ballroom. A colourful, expensive shower visible to everyone below. Through the open window, I could hear the music stop, gasps, confused murmurs. And then, as recognition dawned, silence. I stepped to the window and looked down. Hundreds of faces stared up at the clothing display on the glass ceiling. And in the centre, Amanda in her wedding dress, face drained of colour, eyes locked on mine. I held up a sign I'd prepared. This is what $20,000 of stolen clothing looks like. Imagine $80,000. The silence stretched for what felt like eternity. Then someone's phone flashed. Another. Soon dozens of guests were taking pictures, murmuring to each other. I saw Tyler put his arm around Amanda, whose shoulders had begun to shake. I saw confusion on the faces of his parents, horror on the faces of her friends. That's when I dropped the final item, copies of Amanda's text messages about selling my clothes, enlarged to poster size, fluttering down like oversized confetti. I stepped back from the window, heart pounding. It was done. "Let's go," I said to my friends. We quickly packed up and left the room, taking the service stairs to avoid being seen. In the parking lot, Eleanor asked, "Do you feel better?" I watched guests streaming out of the hotel, phones in hand, talking excitedly. Some looked angry, others shocked. The perfect wedding, disrupted by ugly truth. "I don't know," I answered honestly, "but I feel heard." I didn't go home that night. I stayed at Elena's, my phone turned off, not ready to face the aftermath. The next morning, I finally turned it on to find dozens of missed calls and messages from Amanda. "How could you do this to me? You've ruined everything." From Tyler, "I understand your anger, but this was too far." From Amanda's friends, variations of "You're a terrible sister" and "You've always been jealous of her." But there were other messages too, from people who'd been at the wedding who didn't know me. "I was at your sister's wedding. What she did was wrong. You deserved to be heard. My sister stole from me too. Thank you for standing up for yourself." I scrolled through them all, emotions swirling. Had I gone too far? Had I become the villain in this story? Lena brought me coffee and sat beside me. No regrets. I sighed. Some. I didn't want to hurt her. I just wanted her to understand what she did to me. From those texts, it sounds like she still doesn't get it. "No," I agreed, "she doesn't." 3 days later, I returned to my apartment. Life had to go on. I had a job, responsibilities. I couldn't hide forever. As I approached my door, I saw someone sitting in the hallway. Amanda, still in town, though she should have been on her honeymoon in Bali. She looked up as I approached, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. She'd been crying for days, by the look of it. "Olivia," she said, her voice hoarse. I unlocked my door without responding, but I left it open. An invitation. She followed me inside. We stood facing each other in my living room, sisters and strangers. "You humiliated me," she finally said, "in front of everyone I know." "You stole from me," I replied, "things that meant something to me. They're just clothes." I shook my head. "No, Amanda, they were milestones, memories, things I worked hard for, things that made me feel confident and powerful. I was going to pay you back." "With what? Your part-time job at the gallery barely covers your rent." She looked away. "I don't know, I wanted a perfect honeymoon. I wanted Tyler to be impressed." "So you stole from me. Your sister, the person who raised you after Mom and Dad died." Tears filled her eyes again. "I know, it was terrible, unforgivable." "Yes," I agreed, "it was. But what you did at my wedding," she shook her head. "Tyler's parents want him to annul the marriage. They think I'm a thief, a liar. His mother called me a gold digger." Part of me felt satisfaction hearing this. Another part felt a twinge of regret. "What did Tyler say?" I asked. "He's standing by me, but things are strained. We cancelled the honeymoon." I nodded, not sure what to say. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Liv. Not just because of what happened at the wedding, but for what I did to you. I betrayed your trust. I was selfish and stupid." For the first time, her apology seemed genuine, not motivated by fear of exposure, but by true remorse. I walked to my bedroom and returned with the framed childhood photo she'd left at my door. "Do you remember when this was taken?" I asked. She nodded. "Dad's birthday. We saved up to buy him that fishing rod he wanted. We worked together. We trusted each other. I want that back," she said, voice breaking. "I want my sister back." I placed the photo on the coffee table between us. It will take time, I said. And work. Real amends, not just words. Anything, she promised. I'll do anything. I believed her, or at least I wanted to. Start by telling me the truth, all of it. Why you really took my clothes, why you thought it was okay. She sat down heavily on my couch. I was jealous, she admitted, of your success, your confidence, your beautiful things. I've always felt like I'm living in your shadow, the little sister who never quite measures up. So you took what was mine. It wasn't rational. I saw an opportunity and I took it. I told myself you wouldn't miss them, that you owed me somehow. Her honesty was painful to hear, but necessary. And now? I asked. Now I know how wrong I was, about everything. I hurt the one person who has always been there for me. We talked for hours, really talked, maybe for the first time in years, about our parents, about the responsibility I'd shouldered, about her insecurities and my workaholic tendencies. When she finally left, we weren't healed, but we'd made a start. Tyler called me the next day. Amanda told me about your conversation, he said. I want you to know I'm committed to helping her make this right. Thank you, I said. That means a lot. And Olivia, for what it's worth, I understand why you did what you did at the wedding. I don't agree with the method, but I understand the message. 6 months later, things were different. Better in some ways. Amanda had gotten a better job and was making monthly payments toward what she owed me. It would take years, but the commitment mattered more than the money. We were having dinner together once a month. Awkward at first, then gradually more comfortable. Rebuilding trust, one conversation at a time. My closet was slowly filling again, not with the exact same pieces, some were irreplaceable, but with new items, new memories. On the anniversary of our parents' death, Amanda came to my apartment with a small package. It's not much, she said nervously, but it's a start. Inside was a vintage Hermes scarf, similar to one she'd sold. How did you find this? I asked, running my fingers over the silk. Lots of searching online, saving up. Tyler helped. I wrapped the scarf around my neck, feeling its weight, its significance. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. As we sat together that evening, looking at old family photos, I realized something important. The clothes had mattered to me, they still did, but they weren't what I valued most. What mattered was this, the slow, careful rebuilding of trust, the acknowledgement of hurt, the commitment to do better. My sister had betrayed me. I had publicly shamed her. We had both caused pain, but we were finding our way back to each other, one difficult step at a time. And that, unlike any designer label, was truly priceless.